All right, we'll go ahead and take questions for Coach Golden. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get Molly or Avery a microphone to you. We'll go right here in front. Kevin?
Todd, Kevin Skarbinski with the SEC blog. First, you didn't know it at the time. What was it like to send Bruce into retirement? And few people know Stephen Pearl as well as you do. What makes him ready to take over that job at the level that Bruce got it to?
Yeah, good to see you, Kevin. Honestly, my truthful answer is bittersweet. When in the semifinal game, we were incredibly proud, an incredible moment for our program. But walking across the court to shake hands with Bruce after the game was bittersweet. And he's always incredibly gracious when we compete, and in that moment, the same as always. But at that time, I didn't know that he was going to move on, and understanding that was the last game that he coached in college is something that's going to be a memory of mine for a long time. But I love him. And I'm happy for him that he's in a position where he's accomplished and can kind of ride off into the sunset and enjoy his life without the stresses that we have to endure on a daily basis. And as for Stephen, I'm incredibly confident that he's going to be very successful as a head coach at Auburn. I think it's really important. You look around, let's just use the Final Four last year as an example. 3 out of those 4 programs, will hire within for their next coach. You look at Houston, Kelvin Sampson, Hall of Fame head coach. As he retires, everybody, Kellen is going to become the head coach of that Houston program. You look at Duke, Coach K retires, and they hire an assistant from within the program that's never worked anywhere else. So when you achieve success at an incredibly high level like Auburn has done over the last decade, I think you have the right to have somebody within your program get the opportunity to lead. And if you look in that program, Stephen's been with Bruce every step of the way, from the lowest spot on the totem pole to now being associate head. And the reality is Stephen knows what it takes to be successful. He did it as a player. He's done it in different facets as a coach. And he's an incredibly hard worker and a great leader. And I'm excited for him to have this opportunity.
Okay, Coach, we'll go right here in front.
Hey, Coach. Jack Pilgrim with KSR. Denzel was pretty transparent about the kind of breakup between you and him. What kind of led to him deciding to open up his future plans and kind of what is Kentucky getting in Denzel Aberdeen?
Well, you said he was transparent, so I'd like to hear what he said to you.
Said there was a meeting. The meeting he went in expecting to return to Florida, and then by the time the meeting ended, he said that there probably wasn't going to be a
because well, you said he was transparent. You're asking.
I guess just at that meeting was where it was kind of the line was drawn in the sand, and that was kind of that.
Okay. We love Denzel. I'm incredibly grateful for the contributions that he made to our program. He was a huge part of our national championship team, and he was a guy that came with us, right when we got the job. And the reality is, we would have loved to have Denzel back, and there were other things that were more important to him than what we had to offer. And at this point, that's the opportunity and the right that every student athlete has to be able to dictate and determine what's important to them. He had played well enough to put him in a position where he was desired by a lot of programs. And every person, whether it be a coach or a player, has different things that are important to them when making decisions. And unfortunately, it didn't align. We would have loved to have him back. But I think he's going to have a really good year from Mark. And I think he's a great kid, comes from a really good family. And I expect him to help them become really successful this year.
Coach, we'll go down here to our left, second row.
Hey, Coach. Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South. Obviously, you're replacing what, at least analytically, was the best backcourt in the history of the SEC. It's probably unfair. Not probably. It is unfair to compare Boogie and Xavion to those guys. What do you like about them sort of standing on their own as they kind of as they step in to complement this front court that you built?
Yeah, I love them both already, to be honest. And what you said is exactly right. We're not comparing them to Walter, Will, and Elijah. That's just not fair. I don't think it's healthy for us as a staff to do that. I don't think it's healthy for them as players to have to take on that expectation. The reality is we return our 4 best front court players, and Alex, Tommy, Ruben, and Micah. And my expectation is that those guys will take a huge leap, become the leaders of this team, and take on a lot more of the responsibility than they had last year. So in theory, it should make it a little easier on those guys coming in and obviously learning our system and our program. But Boogie, really hard worker, incredibly coachable. I think came in with a great mentality, is allowing us to guide him, and a great competitor, an incredible on-ball defender. I'm really excited for him to be picking up opposing teams' point guards at the top of our defense. He's a great facilitator. He does a great job getting in the paint, making plays for others, really unselfish that way. And we need that from him because we have a lot of other really good players. And I look at Xavier as a guy coming in, just a really fantastic offensive player, really quick and explosive with the ball in his hands. Another true point guard, but will be able to play off the ball a little bit. And then when Boogie's not in, he'll play point. And a guy that can score it from all three levels, really efficient that way. And as you know, because you follow our program really close, we like to play with multiple ball handlers. And I think he's a guy that, whichever one of those guys is being guarded by the lesser defender on the opposing backcourt is going to be able to take advantage of that on every given night.
Okay, we're going to go over here in the middle, about the fifth row. Myron.
Hey, Todd. Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Obviously, Xavier and Boogie are such an important part of what you want to do. How will those guys share ball handling responsibilities? How will they work together in your offense?
Yeah, the great thing about basketball is that you need 5 guys on the court at all times. And, we play with multiple ball handlers. We always have. You go back to our San Francisco days with Jamari Bouye and Khalil Shabazz. We're going to always try to play 2 guys that can make plays. And so, the way we play, multiple guys, we'll play to the ball screen. We'll be able to recall and run different actions in the half court to get Xavier downhill using a ball screen. Boogie's going to start at the point for us, but Xavier will be a second side playmaker, and then we'll play point when Boog's out of the game. And I think they're both going to have really good seasons. They've really kind of come into their own over the last couple of weeks. I feel like they're getting really comfortable with the way we play. And obviously we throw to our big guys a lot and let them be kind of playmaking hubs in the middle of the floor. So they're getting more comfortable playing with guys like that. But they're both great guys, first and foremost. Been really pleased with their willingness to kind of assimilate into our culture and into our style of play. And they're both really mature and smart. And so I've seen some really good and rapid growth from them early on.
Coach will stay right in front of me in the third row.
Ben Roberts, Lexington Herald Leader. Todd, I think a lot of people think you've assembled maybe the best starting 5 in the country. Aside from those guys and I guess Micah, who has maybe separated themselves, or who do you expect to be kind of part of that second wave?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Micah, because I think he's honestly, I wanted to bring him also today. He lost the coin toss between the other 3 guys that made it, and I appreciate Garth and the commissioner allowing us to bring 3. I know a lot of us coaches weren't satisfied only getting to bring 2 last year, so Garth was very accommodating to us that way. I'm sure next year now we're going to ask you for 4, so be ready for that. No, I'm joking. But Micah deserves to be here today, and he's just one of the most unselfish humans I've ever been around. For him to give up his year to come back last year, and we don't win the national championship without him. That's just the bottom line, and so I'm really glad that it worked out the way it did for him. But he's like a 6th starter for us, so I throw him in that mix. And looking at the rest of the roster, we have a great opportunity for a couple guys to step up and earn some big minutes. I think Irby Klavjar will be a guy that's a rotational player for us. C.J. Ingram and Alex Lloyd are 2 freshmen, have done a great job. Usually it's hard for freshmen to play in our program, but I think both those guys have a chance to earn roles. And Isaiah Brown and his brother A.J. Are guys that can play roles as well.
Coach, we'll go over here on the left. Patrick.
Coach, I'm very curious. Coming off the heels of the championship, what has this last 5 months been like for you, from having to hire, enjoying the highest pinnacle of becoming a national championship coach, to having to recruit? Like, what has this last 5 months been like for you?
It's been very busy, obviously. You don't get a lot of time in the moment to enjoy it, because you finish up and then that whole week you're stressed about making sure you can bring the guys back that helped you get to that point, and you're thinking about how am I going to replace, to Neil's point, one of the best backcourts that's ever played in college basketball. And so you don't just get to sit on your couch for a week and watch highlights and enjoy it. That's just not how it goes. And so we wanted to make sure that we put ourselves in position to compete at a high level again this year. And so we worked really hard to do that. As Commissioner Sankey mentioned, we got to go to the White House. We got to go up to New York City and be honored at the Wingfoot dinner, which was amazing. And so you get all these special experiences. But at the end of the day, you turn around and then it's summer workouts and you have your team on campus for the first time, and you're trying to make sure you kind of turn the page on that success and get everybody ready for the next year. But it's been busy. It's been great. I wouldn't prefer it any other way. And I'm just really happy that we're at the point now where we're getting close to playing scrimmages on Saturday, and before you know it, we're going to open up in Vegas.
Coach, we'll take one final one about the fourth row over on the left-hand side.
Coach, obviously a lot of success in the SEC. It's obviously getting stronger, but a lot of teams are still looking for their first national championship. Without giving away too much, secrets, what do you think allowed y'all to get over that hump, and maybe what can you see other teams doing to maybe win more national championships for the SEC?
We were really fortunate last year that we had an incredibly unselfish group of student athletes. I think that was as important as anything else. We had multiple guys that gave up individual stats and accolades for the greater group and the greater good of our program. And so that was the main thing. Like, we had guys that were willing to sacrifice because you can't make it to the top of the mountain if guys are worried about points or worried about how many touches they're going to get. And then after that, my staff did an incredible job from top to bottom. Carlin Hartman, our associate head coach with the bigs, we got those guys flying around and playing incredibly hard every night. Corey McCray working with the guards. Kevin Hovde, as Kamish mentioned, was our offense coordinator. John Anderjack was our defense coordinator. We were really organized. Similarly to our team, I thought our staff was really unselfish. I think if you guys ever spend any time around our program, you know that there's a lot of love and joy between our staff, and getting to work together every day. It doesn't really feel like work. And so those are really the two main things. There wasn't any secret sauce we had other than being really consistent and competing our ass off every day.
Coach Golden, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much.